In fact, should we talk about that one next?
Yeah, let's do it, because this is a really interesting game, isn't it? I mean,
well, with the situation at Bournemouth, with no manager, basically the market is saying that it fancies Forest more than it should. They're available to lay at 2.1. It might even be 2.08 now, but should really be nothing lower than 2.2. So not enough data to do any sort of goal lines with, because neither of them have. Well, Bournemouth have obviously played in the Premier League relatively recently, but Forest never have. But yeah,
or not recently anyway. Yeah.
Do you think Forest are gonna sort of have that like big home crowd energy on their side, and that's their sort of ticket to staying up if they win a few home games against better opposition, basically, and obviously this one coming up?
Well, that's interesting, right? So I think that counts for a lot of games in the Premier League, right? But I think that, like we saw it against West Ham, for example, and we'll see it against reasonably big teams. I think even against Spurs they did pretty well. But I think when you're at home and you've just come up and you're playing Bournemouth, who are, let's be honest, they've been dreadful so far. I think from the home fans' perspective, except for on the opening day, which shows you how bad Villa are. Yeah, I think basically you're looking at it, and as a Notts Forest fan, you'd probably be like, yeah, but we can beat these guys because we played them last year, and I actually don't know how they got on against them last year.
But I think Forest basically won every game second half of the season, didn't they? So
yeah. I mean, Forest will be basically expecting to beat Bournemouth, and they will be expecting to beat them because of how bad Bournemouth have been. And I think that, even for a newly promoted team, leads to a bit of, like, let's say, like vocal complacency within the home stands. And I think that could make it a little bit difficult for them on Saturday against Bournemouth. I think they'll win, but I do think
because the expectation's high amongst the fans. You've got to win this game because it's the one that's easiest to win in the whole season. And if they aren't comfortable 60, 70 minutes in, it could get ropey. Right, I suppose is it a case that Bournemouth might try and shut them out, keep it a low score, just like in the Wolves game, which I didn't watch but was seemingly dreadful?
Yeah, they might be able to, but which was a great result actually when you think about it, for Bournemouth. But I think they will try and shut them out. I think that Forest as well, for all the players that they've signed, I think Brennan Johnson's a great player, and he's got a lot going forward. But it's easier to defend with guys that you don't really know, I think, because it requires a bit more physical effort. And a bit more. It sort of relies on your organisation a bit more personally, whereas attacking requires a little bit more creativity and a bit more knowledge of each other. And I'm not sure Forest are there yet.
Yeah, definitely. The number of players they've signed, it's like when Fulham came up that time and signed a whole new team, and it just didn't really work out because they took so long because they'd signed so many players as well. They had a big squad, and took a while to figure out who their best team was, really. By that time, they were in the relegation zone and struggling.